नमस्कार दर्शकवृन्द, आज हामी समसामयिक कार्यक्रम अन्तर्गत ल्याउँदैछौँ एकजना सङ्गीत विधाका पारखी जेनिफर मैकडोनेल। उहाँ एसिस्टेन्ट प्रोफेसर हुनुहुन्छ र्याडफोर्ड युनिभर्सिटी भर्जिनिया अमेरिकाको, र उहाँले हामीलाई आज सङ्गीतका विविध क्षेत्रको बारेमा, यसका समस्या र यसलाई यो किन जरुरी छ, यसलाई के सिक्न सकिन्छ जस्ता विधामा उहाँले जानकारी दिनुहुनेछ र उहाँ अहिले हाम्रो स्टुडियोमा प्रत्यक्ष कुराकानी गर्न उपस्थित हुनुहुन्छ। आई वेलकम जेनिफर टु आवर स्टुडियो एनटिभी स्टुडियो, एन्ड आई वाज टकिङ टु माई audience that who you are, that you are working in Radford University, you are doctorate in music, and your much devoted subject is music learning theory.
Yes.
So I was trying to tell our audience. So I promised my audience that you will tell us about more the problems related to the music and who can learn music and who cannot, if there is any kind of deficiency in people when they are born. I don't know. So first let's talk about why are you here in Nepal this time?
Well, my friend Sumit Poprel, he invited me to come because he works at the Music Arts Society, and his mission is to bring a better music education to Nepalese people. And he works with children of all ages, and some of them are underprivileged or orphans, and he wants to bring free music education to them. So he wants to bring me here because he wants me to teach some of the other music teachers and help them learn more about how to teach music, not just how to play an instrument, but really the pedagogy of how we teach music. So that's why I came.
And what is your area of interest? That it was his area of interest that he wanted you to come here. What is your interest to come here?
My interest to come here, two things. First, I love to teach, and I have a passion to teach other people, and the idea of helping Sumit in his work to teach other people how to teach music education is a good passion of mine. And also to help the children, because it's very a good mission, I think, to help children learn music, because it's part of who we are as human beings, and it can make us happy and enjoy life very much.
Okay, you mentioned that you are here to help the children, and how can, I don't know, I like to ask you, how can music make a people happy? What is music exactly?
What is music exactly? That's hard to describe. Music is something, we often say that music helps us express feelings that we have that we cannot express in words. So sometimes the feeling comes into us and we cannot express through words, but somehow we can express more through music because it's hard to explain, but it's kind of a feeling, and it helps us express ourselves as people.
But the language we like to learn to express through music is very difficult. The language of music is very difficult. So unless they learn the language, do re mi fa, whatever the language, whatever the theory, it is very difficult. So how can they express their feeling when they don't have the language?
This is true. So part of my job as the music teacher and as a professor is to help people understand the process of learning, and this is how we do through the music learning theory. This is from Dr. Edwin Gordon, who is from United States. And he studied in his research how children learn music. And so the process of from birth all the way through adulthood, how do we actually start to make meaning of music when we listen to music and perform music, so we could actually enjoy music more and perform more. So this is what my mission is, to come here and help people know about this music learning theory so that they can know how to teach other children, to make it easier for them to learn and more enjoyable for them to learn.
Is music learning theory also associated with this? What is this music learning theory?
Music learning theory is not about music theory. It's not about the notes and the lines and spaces, but it's about a process of how we learn music. That is the theory of learning music. So when the theory is that the basic tenets are that we learn music like we learn language. And so from infancy, we develop vocabularies. So in language, for example, the young infant absorbs the language of his culture. And the same is for music. So we hope that parents would sing to their children and rock them and do movement with them so that they absorb the music of their culture. And then as they become toddlers, they begin to start babbling in music, ba 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 ba, and also babbling in their language. So at first when they begin making sounds, they don't make any sense. We don't understand them. But eventually they start imitating us and saying mama, papa, and then they eventually start saying words and sentences, and then they can express themselves as they develop that speaking vocabulary. So it's similar in music. We can help children develop a performing vocabulary like a speaking vocabulary, and we help them learn how to use their singing voice to produce tones and also to move rhythmically and produce rhythms with their speech and with other instruments. So then after that, as we get older, we know that we develop our vocabulary, and then just like I'm talking to you now, we can speak extemporaneously back and forth because we have the vocabulary and we know what we want to say, and we just say it without thinking too much. So when we get to that place in music, we call that improvisation. So we have lots of tonal vocabulary or rhythm vocabulary, and we can make that work together to express ourselves musically. So when you watch a person who plays the instrument or sings very well and they improvise, that means they have that very large vocabulary. They have practiced just like we would practice in language for many years. The babies from birth to 5 years at least before they start going to school to learn formally, they've been exposed to the language for that long. And so same thing with music. Sometimes in the United States even, we don't have a lot of people in the homes singing to the children, unfortunately. So when teachers get them in kindergarten, we have to almost pretend like they're babies musically, and we have to bring them through that musical babble so they can use their singing voices and sing in tune and move in rhythm and things like that. And finally, then the other two vocabularies are reading and writing. So after they develop a good oral vocabulary, oral and oral, so listening and performing, then we can help them learn to read and write music notation with understanding. And that is the most important thing that I can tell you about music learning theory is that it's important to teach in the right sequence. The right sequence being listening, performing, improvising, then reading and writing. Because when we try to put music notation in front of a child who's not developed a good oral vocabulary, they will not be able to understand what they're reading. They'll it would be like me trying to read Japanese or German. German might be a better example. I don't know German language, but I know the letters, so I might be able to sound out the letters, but I wouldn't know what I was reading, right? So it's the same way with music. If we put music notation in front of children who don't have that ear yet, then it's impossible for them to really understand.
Then you put me in very awkward position that if you don't have the good ear for the music, he cannot learn music.
Well, I would disagree with that.
Yeah.
In my philosophy, everyone has potential to learn music. And as we know with intelligence, we know the normal curve. A few people have very high potential to learn. Most people have average potential, and only a few people have low potential. But even that is not no potential. Everyone has potential to learn. It's just that if you have high potential, you can learn faster and you can learn more things. And if you have low potential, you learn more slowly. Okay. And it's just like intelligence. So children who learn more slowly, they need more help, they need more review, they need guidance more. And so for us as teachers, it's our job to help push the children who have high aptitude to learn more and faster, and to guide the children who have low aptitude and not make them feel frustrated, but keep giving them the support that they need so that they can be successful and feel happy doing the level they can do at music.
When I was doing a little bit of research before your interview right now, I encountered a word called amusia. Some deficiency of music, that they are very slow or they are almost hopeless to learn music. What is amusia?
Well, I'm not the expert on amusia, but I know that some people feel like that there is some deficiency physically or in the neural wiring of people that they cannot learn the same way. So just as I think just as some people have deficiencies cognitively, there might be, cognitive deficiencies musically, but that is a very low percentage of the population.
So as a teacher, how can you teach such a student, such a learner?
Such a learner would be very interesting and difficult to teach, but I think we have to know the students. So we have to know what they know and what they don't know, and then just try to work with them on an individual basis. For example, I didn't have any children with amusia, particularly when I was teaching elementary school, but I did have some children who had special needs, like autism. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, those children are very sensitive to sound. And so when you get to know the children, you know what their sensitivities are and how to work with them. For example, one child I worked with, we had to put headphones on mm-hmm. his ears whenever we played recorded music. Because
child with autism.
Autism, yes. And so he was very, very sensitive, and when we played recorded music, it hurt his ears and he was overwhelmed by the sound. So once we discovered that we could put headphones on his ears, he was much happier because the sound was a little bit muffled and it wasn't bothering him as much. So those are the kinds of things. You just have to really get to know your students, and then you kind of experiment and try things with them so that you can help them learn in the best way that they know.
Since I'm almost at the zero level about music, so I was doing a little bit of research, and I found out that the notes from C to whatever, E, D, F, C, the difference between one note to another note, the frequency is not the same. I mean, the gap between note C to note D and from note D to note E is not the same. And yet we recommend that it is the sonorous to the ear, the frequency when we jump from one note to another and from another note to yet another note. Despite the fact that the frequency is different, it is still sonorous to the ears. How is it possible? I was stuck there. So I just wanted to ask you, the frequency for every note is different, and the gap between the frequencies, between the two notes is also different, yet it is very much, sonorous. Is it possible? How is it possible? What could be the scientific reason behind it?
Well, when you look at something like an oscilloscope, do you know that an oscilloscope is where you can see the waves of the notes? You can see that, like, for example, a C, middle C on the piano would be like a wave like this, and a C 1 octave higher would be faster waves. So it has to do with the way that the waves hit each other, because mm-hmm. This wave is going like this and this wave is going like this. So the sonority and the way it sounds pleasant to the ears is because they hit each other at regular intervals. So if you have a note that's like maybe only 1/2 step away, it hits it at irregular intervals and it sounds mm-hmm. dissonant to our ears. But the consonant, like the tonic, the C to the C, and then the C to the G, the tonic to dominant, those are pleasing because the way they hit each other at different times is much more regular intervals.
That could be the reason.
Yes.
Okay. Since you are here to help the students and the teachers to learn music and to teach music, if they are teachers, they have to teach music. What could be the right way to teach music to the students in Nepal?
Well, I believe that we, again, should start with the listening vocabulary. So we recommend that we sing to the children a lot in different tonalities and meters, because we learn what something is by knowing what it is not. In our culture in America, what we hear on the radio is mostly major tonality and duple meter, so moving ba 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 ba, right, and always major tonality. So that doesn't provide a lot of variety for the children listening if they only listen to the radio. But we know that by singing to them in different tonalities and in different meters, it helps them eventually learn to know the differences between them better. And so in early childhood with the young children, we sing a lot in the parent-child classes to the children. We don't expect the children to sing, but again, just like language, we just expect them to absorb the sounds. And as they grow, they start to make sense. The brain tries to make meaning all the time. And so eventually they begin to babble. And when they become like toddlers, and we do the music classes with the toddlers, then we start doing music play with them. So for example, a toddler might go ba ba ba, and so we might go ba ba ba, 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 ba 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 ba. And then we wait, and then the child looks at us and like, you know what I'm saying? And then they go ba ba ba, and then we start having a musical conversation with rhythm that way. And that's how we start to get them to move from just ba ba ba, you know, babbling and not making any sense musically, to making a sound in a rhythm. And that starts to help them be more accurate with their rhythm. Same thing with tonal sounds. With babies, you know they only can cry or make sounds like ah. So when we hear that, we would go ah. We make it into a musical sound, and then the babies look at us like, oh, you understand me. And but then it's so interesting, because then when they think you understand them, then they stop crying and they listen, and then you start interacting with them, and it's really very beautiful. And so eventually, as they become toddlers, they start using their own voice in a singing way. Ah, ah. And then you can start playing with them to do that, and start getting them to understand the relationship between tonic and dominant, which is the bum bum, which is a very important interval in music. And so we try to get them to sing that. And eventually, when they get to be like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, then they can start singing tonal patterns like bum bum bum, bum bum bum, bum bum bum. And then they start singing short songs like hop old squirrel, idle dum, hop old squirrel, idle dum dee. Very short songs that have a limited tonal range. So incrementally, we just start building their vocabulary just like we would do in language. So we start with words like mama, papa, and pick me up. One of my favorite stories I like to tell my students at the university is when my daughter was little, she would say up, 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 and then she would say up mommy, and then she would say the wrong way. She would say pick you up, because I would used to say, should I pick you up? I pick you up. And so she learned pick you up, which is not the right grammar, but eventually
that's the way the children learn.
Yes, that's the way they learn. And so same thing in music. So they go ba 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 ba, and they don't make any sense, but if we play with them, then they start to learn what is more normal, and they start to be more accurate.
So there is a lot of struggle to learn music. Okay, now tell me, what are the advantages after the struggle? They learn music. What advantage do they get? What do they get from the music? I mean, what is the benefits of music?
Oh, well, of course, the very first benefit is musical benefits. I like to think that I imagine our brains are like the World Wide Web, and there are different hubs of information in our brains. And so if your brain has music as one of those hubs, you have more ways to connect throughout your brain. So obviously you gain musical knowledge, which is very good in and of itself, because music is a way of knowing all by itself, just like language or mathematics or science. It is its own thing, own way of knowing. But in addition, having that helps us make connections throughout our brain. And so, for example, if a child did not have a musical background, could they still learn? Yes. Could they still make connections? Yes. But they wouldn't have the same kind of rich connections as if they made musical connections. And the research that we know now is showing that because of music, children are starting to understand spatial relationships more, and that helps with their geometric reasoning and their mathematics. And also the musical development also helps with their linguistic, because it helps them learn to discriminate with their listening better. And so there are lots of benefits of music that are not musical. But as a music educator, of course, my first importance is to help build their musical skill. So there's kind of a debate whether you should teach music for its own sake or teach music for the way it benefits other things. And I don't think that we should do one or the other, but I first believe that music is important for itself, because we learn something in music that we can't learn in any other way, but also because it also helps us spread out and make connections all across our brain and learn better in other subjects as well.
So music is very much important for the development of the brain.
Absolutely, yes.
So once you have the developed brain, you are a developed personality.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? That's the message I get.
Yes.
Okay. So since you are here, you have been listening at least few musics of this region and Nepalese background. How do you feel about the music of Nepal, if you have heard some of them on radio or anywhere?
Yes. Sumit has taken me to hear the children sing, and I hear them sing many traditional Nepalese songs, and I find them to be very beautiful. And the children sing so lovely, and I love to hear them sing. And just yesterday we went to one of the orphanages, and a little girl, she sang for me, and it was so beautiful. I love to hear the Nepalese songs. And so I was trying to record them on my camera because I want to remember them and kind of listen to them more and analyze them more.
So you were saying that in American radios, stent are let's say the songs are more on major tone. Mm-hmm. And how did you feel when you heard some music over here? Are they similar, or are they different? Are more musical ingredients are there in Nepalese song? Is there any similarities or differences between the practice of American songs and practice done over here?
Well, I do hear some songs in major tonality, and I don't, we haven't been able to go out yet to hear like an adult
but whatever
band
exposure you have during the short time.
But I feel like the rhythms are very complex here, maybe more than the children's folk songs in America. But the songs themselves are very tuneful, very, very lovely, and being able to sing them within a simple range in your vocal quality. So for that, I think that part is very similar, but the rhythms and the smaller tones are a little bit different than what we would do in America.
We are almost at the end of the show now, so we don't have much time, but I can give you maybe 1 minute to tell our teachers why music is important and why and how they can easily teach their students the music they are trying to teach.
Okay, so I get 1 minute to
yes,
say.
1 minute, almost 1 minute.
Well, I believe that music is very important for the development of the whole child. Like I said before, with music, we have a richer understanding of who we are as human beings. We know that there has been music in every culture throughout recorded history. So it's just something about who we are, and so I feel like it's a human right that we have music in our education system, that we develop that part of ourselves as humans, because then again it helps us express ourselves in a different way. It helps us enjoy life, and for those reasons, and also because it helps develop the whole brain, like I said before. And so just to tell teachers that if you start with the vocabularies like I said before, sing to the children, sing a lot to the children, play with them musically. If you're a parent, sing and rock your baby, to the beats like this. So they feel that, because when they're babies, they need that stimulation. It's called vestibular stimulation inside the ear. It helps with their sense of balance. So all of those things work together to help children learn and become a well-rounded, developed human being.
So your daughter, how old is she now?
My daughter is 17.
Now she is singing very perfectly.
She sings very well. She loves to sing in choir, yes. And my son he plays trombone.
Okay.
He's in 9th grade.
Thank you very much for coming here and telling us about music and its issues and its problems and why and how it is important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
दर्शकवृन्द कार्यक्रम यही सकिन्छ नमस्कार